Hello once again, this is Mr. Singleton, one of the Associate Directors from Outward Academy, and this lesson is all about stem cells. If you haven't already looked at mitosis and cell division or the cell cycle lesson, please do so because it'll be slightly important for this lesson. So this is a specification that AQA give us. This gives you lots of the answers. This tells you what you need to know. So if you ever need to go through things and you're not sure if you need to understand something or you need to know something, please just Google AQA specification for whichever science you're doing and have a look through it. It's got lots of useful bits in there. So we've got to talk about stem cells, what they are. We've got to talk about the two different types. We've got to talk about the ones that are found in plant, which is meristem cells, and then how they can be used. And it's all in this specification here for you, and all in this. From the last couple of lessons, I want you to just think your mind back, or if you need to, go back to that lesson. So there are 3 stages of the cell cycle. I want to know what they are. You just need to tell me what they are, not what happens in them. I want you to tell me how many chromosomes are found in a human body cell, please. Not a sperm cell or an egg cell or a red blood cell, but a normal body cell. And what do we use mitosis for? Usually 2 answers. I'll tell you something, those last 2 questions are really common in the exams. How many chromosomes and what are the uses of mitosis? Very common questions. I'll give you 30 seconds, throw it on a whiteboard or just quickly in the back of your books. Just a 1, 2, 3 and then answer the questions. They're only 2 or 3 word answers. Off you go. Right, let's do these. So the 3 stages in the cell cycle are duplication, that's where everything duplicates, obviously, or reproduces, so the ribosomes, the mitochondria, and all the DNA reproduces. Then you get mitosis, which is where the chromosomes go to each end of the cell, and then you get cleavering, which is when that cell actually splits. There are 46 chromosomes. I will allow 23 pairs of chromosomes. And the uses of mitosis are growth and repair. And when you get onto B2, asexual reproduction, or if you're doing this as a revision, it's asexual reproduction as well. Title for today is stem cells. Make sure you underline that title and you put it into your book along with the date. This is still biology paper 1. So if you are doing a revision card, title stem cells, and then make sure you put that biology paper 1 at the top so you know which one it is for your exams. I'll give you 30 seconds just to get that done in your books. Off you go. You've got 20 more seconds. Right, let's listen. So we're going to look at the different types of stem cells first for our challenge, and then the Aspire is going to be evaluating the use of these stem cells. So should we use them or should we not use them when we're treating medical conditions? It might seem quite straightforward. You might think, yeah, of course we do. If we can cure something, we should do. But there's some very ethical issues with these stem cells. So I just want you to have a think. Have you come across the word stem cell before? Do you know what it is? I'll give you a bit of a hint here, though. It's nothing to do with the stem of a plant. You know what a stem cell is. I'll just give you 10 seconds. It's kind of a yes or no answer. So if it is a no, you might want to get this down. A stem cell is a cell that's undifferentiated. So quite a couple of lessons ago, we actually talked about the fact that cells will differentiate, they become specialized. So a sperm cell is a specialized cell. Now a stem cell is one which doesn't specialize, it stays undifferentiated. So that means that when that cell divides, it can actually divide into any type of cell at all. So think about a skin cell. If I cut my skin, the only thing my skin cell can divide into is another skin cell. But if there was a stem cell there, then it might be able to grow into a bone cell, might be able to grow into a nerve cell, and therefore then, you know, if I chop my hand off accidentally, I'd be able to grow a complete new hand. However, because I don't have stem cells, because all my cells are differentiated, then I can't grow a new hand. I just grow more skin over it, and it becomes an arm without a hand. If I had a stem cells, if I just had stem cells, I'd be able to regenerate each part. You've got to learn this definition. It's obviously quite new this, quite new research, quite new science. So AQA like to ask about it. So you've got to learn a definition. It's usually a 2-mark exam. So a stem cell is an undifferentiated cell, and therefore it can change into any other type of cell. There are 2 types though from animals, and remember we are animals, so humans and animals. There are 2 types of stem cells we can get, and they are embryonic stem cells and adult stem cells. Now, for a change, this isn't too difficult. Adult stem cells come from adults, and embryonic stem cells come from embryos. That's a cell which is being developed in the womb, which is, you know, made. So you get a zygote, you get a fertilized cell, and then it will divide into like 8 cells, and they're all stem cells. After that, they start to actually get specialized. So after about the 8-cell stage, when you are at 8 cells big, then after that your cells become slightly specialized, and they're no longer embryonic stem cells. So that's what they are. Now the benefit of embryonic stem cells is they can turn into any type of cell at all, which is really beneficial. If I want to grow a new nerve cell because I've become paralyzed, then I need something that will turn into a nerve cell, and I'd use an embryonic stem cell. An adult stem cell can actually only turn into some type of cells. So we find these in bone marrow. About 1 in every 10,000 cells in your bone marrow is a stem cell, but they can only turn into blood cells. They can't turn into a new nerve cell or anything like that. So really, embryonic stem cells are the more useful ones. Adult stem cells are not as useful. So quick Google quiz, just going through those 2 different types of stem cells and what a stem cell is. I'll give you 3 minutes, the multiple choice again, off you go. You've got 2 more minutes. Right, so that should be the challenge done. You should be able to describe what stem cell is and the different types. So we've got the embryonic and we've got the adult stem cell, and then we need to look at the use of stem cells. So embryonic stem cells really exciting for doctors and researchers because what they can do is obviously turn into any types of cells. So we, anything gets damaged, we can then replace it, and you'll be fine. The two conditions that they really want you to know about is diabetes. They said diarrhea then. Diabetes and paralysis. Okay, so they can help cure diabetes and they can help cure paralysis. So let's just take paralysis for this instant. What they do is they get the embryo and get it to produce the same genes as the patient. So to get the stem cell, they get the DNA from the patient and they put that in together. And then the benefit of that, obviously, is that it will grow and have the DNA of the patient, and therefore it won't be rejected. If you want to do this with someone who suffers from diabetes, you would take the stem cells and you would put them into the pancreas, which is where insulin is made generally, and then get the DNA, so then it will produce cells which make insulin. So some people are against this. The very, very first Superman called Christopher Reeves, he fell off his horse and became paralyzed, and he was really trying to get people or campaigning to make sure that he could walk again, basically. Fell off his horse, became paralyzed, and he was talking about stem cells and trying to. So the reason for obviously being against it is these ethical concerns. When we talk about ethical concerns, we're saying that this is a belief that somebody has. So you are going to take a human embryo. This is a cell which has been fertilized. It's come from a sperm cell and an egg cell, and that obviously has the ability to become a human life. So some people believe that obviously that life is just as important as someone who's become paralyzed, and it has the right to life instead of breaking it up and basically killing that potential baby. So that's one of the reasons. The other thing that it can do is it can transfer viruses to the patient when it's used in therapeutic cloning, which is obviously a big pitfall. So there are two reasons that you need to know that people might be against it. So there's this ethical reason and also the ability that it might transfer a virus into the patient. So these are the types of debates that people would have. So would you say that a 3-year-old embryo is a living thing? When does an embryo actually become a living thing? So when does that baby become, or well, we don't even call it a baby until it's born, it's a fetus. When does that become a living thing? Is one person's life more valuable than another person's life? Because basically you are killing this organism, this embryo, that could become a human life to save somebody else's life. And then the big thing is, do the benefits outweigh, or the benefits of many outweigh the benefits of a few? The other one that you need to be aware of is that plants also have stem cells too. All plants have these. They are found just below a leaf on the stem, actually, and they're called meristem cells. And they have them for their entire life. So these cells will always be able to differentiate into different types of plant cells. Really useful. So if I want to clone a plant, I just cut at the top of the plant off just below where a leaf is, and you can stick it into the ground, give it a couple of hormones, and it'll create some roots because it has those meristem cells. Also really useful to make clones of rare species, or to make plants which are resistant to diseases. You can create these clones of plants which are really, really useful, or stop them from dying out. So meristems are another one you need to know. It's basically the stem cell for plants. So I want you to go onto Google quiz, have a go at answering some of the questions on there. I'll give you 5 minutes, off you go. Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute on those questions. Right, so it's quite a short one, this one. So we have described the different types of stem cells. So we've talked about embryonic and we've talked about adult stem cells and the differences between those. And we've talked about meristem cells in plants as well. And then we've looked at evaluate the uses. So the benefit of obviously all this is you can cure people who are paralyzed, people who've been told they can't walk again. You can cure them. People who have diabetes, particularly type 1 diabetes, we're talking about here, you can stop them from, having to inject themselves every day with insulin because you can get their cells making insulin again. So this is an exam question. I'm not going to ask you to do it. I'm going to talk you through it, and then we'll go and look at the mark scheme after this. So there's 2 exam questions, and I'm going to talk you through the answers. So this is the diagram of one way that stem cells can be used to can be produced from human embryo. So you've got this 5-year-old embryo, and what they do is take out the inner cells because they're the stem cells. They put them into a petri dish, and then they can grow into blood cells or nerve cells or muscle cells. And it says, why can stem cells, basically saying, explain why stem cells can be used to treat conditions such as paralysis. And it's a 2-mark question. And the following question from that, it says, during pregnancy, an umbilical cord and a placenta join to form the embryo to the mother. So that's the cord that then goes to the placenta, which helps to feed and give oxygen to the fetus in there. Stem cells can be obtained from the umbilical cord. Many people think that stem cells for treating human conditions should be obtained from the umbilical cords rather than embryos. Suggest one reason why. So the first question is, why can we use stem cells to treat paralysis? And this is the question is, why take it from the embryo instead of from why take it from an umbilical cord rather than an embryo? So first question, this was right at the beginning of this lesson. We talked about it being a 2-mark question. So 1 mark for saying stem cells can differentiate. All that question really wants you to know is, do you know what a stem cell is? And then why can it be used to treat paralysis? Just link it to that question. Is because it can differentiate into a nerve cell. So 2 marks there. 1 for saying stem cells can differentiate into a nerve cell is your 2nd mark. And then the benefit of taking it from an umbilical cord is that you're not going to damage the embryo, you're not going to kill a life, etc. So quick 5 questions, just straight off in your head or on a whiteboard or in your book. What is a stem cell? I'm not going to give you long for this. 10 seconds and then I'm going to answer it. Done. So it's an undifferentiated cell, 1 mark, that can turn into many different types of cell. Unless, of course, it's an adult stem cell, remember. What are the 2? I've just given you one of the answers. What are the 2 types of stem cells in humans? I'm going to just give you 5 seconds and then we're moving on. 4, 3, 2, 1. So they are embryonic stem cells and adult stem cells. Question 3. Which 2 conditions might stem cells be able to treat? Talked a little bit in detail about these 2. I'll give you 7 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. It's diabetes and paralysis. Question 4. Where are stem cells found in plants, or what are the names of the stem cells found in plants? One word answer, and the answer has the word stem in it, which helps it even more. 3, 2, 1. They are meristem. Why might plants be cloned? Now, there's 2 reasons why we might want to clone a plant. Have a think about it. I'll give you 10 seconds for this one. So we can clone it because it might be rare and might be dying, or they might be becoming extinct, so we clone it quickly, or to clone a plant with a resistance to a disease or something like that. Question 6. What's the risk of therapeutic cloning? Make sure this is a risk to the patient and it's nothing to do with being ethical. Okay, so we can transfer the virus into the patient, sometimes in cloning. Now, this is more than the other bit. Some people are against embryonic stem cell research. Why? Okay, so this is ethical issues because you're going to destroy an embryo or a life. So coming to the end of the question, lesson even, revision card to make if you are. Again, this is biology paper 1. I'd always put that in the top right-hand corner so you know which exam you're revising for. So stem cells are undifferentiated cells. So what they can do is they can divide into any type of cell. And there's 3 types. So embryonic, these come from embryos, and the benefit of that is they can turn into any type of cell. There are adult stem cells, which can only divide into a couple of types of cells, mainly blood cells, and they are found in bone marrow. And then meristem cells, which are found in plants. You need to know that stem cells can be used to treat lots of illnesses, including diabetes and paralysis. Remember AQA, they're quite fun like this, not. But they'll say, oh, stem cells can be used to treat paralysis and whatever type of disease. So please make sure you know both of them. So in therapeutic cloning, an embryo is produced with the same genes, and the benefit of that is then it's not rejected by the patient. So think about, if you need a heart transplant, you might reject the heart that you get from another person. It has different, what we call antigens on, so then your body fights it because it sees it as a foreign cell. But this one wouldn't be a foreign cell. It would have your antigens on, so you wouldn't actually fight it. But obviously, there is many ethical issues with stem cells because the embryo is. People think that the embryo is alive already, and those types of things. Again, you can pause this video and write these revision notes down on a revision card, or I will leave it on for another 2 minutes. And then I will move on to the next slide. Right, so as always, there are some exam questions for you to try for this lesson. So please have a look at them and have a go. Very helpful to do exam questions. Make sure you check your understanding. Go back over this lesson if you need to. Very well done, guys. Keep it up. You're doing awesome. Thank you.